All right, let's get in. Let's get in one of my favorite market voices, really, Pratik Agarwal of ASK Johnson right now. Pratik, so good having you. Thanks so much for taking the time out. Pratik,
Hi, hi.
it's been a
Good to be
it's been a
there. Good
while that
morning.
yeah, good morning. It's been a while that we've spoken, Pratik. How have you analyzed what's happened in this really remarkable pull back that we've had across the world and in India, and what are your thoughts now?
Yeah. So there has been a damage to earnings for sure, and our sense is the markets overshot the damage on the downside. Maybe on account of a severe selling pressure that we saw, and then there has been a pullback. Our sense is even after the pullback on valuations, we are still, at long period average on PE. But given the lower bond yields, we do believe the comfort in valuation continues. The way to look at it is there is a 1 year kind of a damage. Maybe in 2021 over 20, there would not be any earnings growth on the index. There may be a degrowth also. But then it's a 1 year damage. 22 could be a stronger growth versus what was anticipated earlier. That has to be recognized, and overall, if we believe that the assets are all there and they are good, then the market is pricing those assets extremely cheap. Our market cap to GDP is like 55, 56%. Just now versus on an average, it's been over 70%. So that kind of gives you one sense. So yes, PEs are important, earnings is important, but then, one should not be valuing assets below a particular point. So that is the sense that we have just now. There are tick boxes to look at. We are focusing on cash on book businesses. We are focusing on branded businesses which will benefit from commodity price softness, and we are focusing more on domestic businesses versus exports. Exports, there are exceptions for pharmaceuticals and chemicals. So, that in short is what we are doing.
Yeah, well, that's in short. Now let's try and elongate it as well a bit. Pratik. Pharma, it's been the buzzword. There is a bit of a risk-on rally this week, which is why it's taken a bit of a backseat. But do you think that, in your assessment, have the long-term fundamentals for some of these pharma businesses changed?
Uh, so if a COVID kind of a situation is seen to be a recurring one, is there to stay, which I believe is the case, it's not going to go away, then, companies who are benefiting from the demand for their medicines, be it hydrochloroquine or remdesivir or the other medicines which go into managing patients in the hospitals, all of that demand will be there every year. So to that extent, maybe should not say it, but outlook improves, for pharmaceuticals. Second, what is also happening is, when there were too many people competing for, let's say, US markets, the approvals were difficult to come by. And in fact, they were knocking out many of the plants on one reason or the other. Once this crisis has erupted and they want the medicines over last 10, 15 days, we have seen, I would say, the highest concentration of approvals in recent memory. So export business definitely moves up. The riskiness attached to it goes down. But that said, if you look at the marketplace today, with the current understanding that people have, okay, valuations are just about there. So if pharmaceuticals are expected to do better, boss valuations reflect that already, as in the consumer part. So that is the difficulty in the market. Maybe on financials, I do believe market has overdone the selling a bit more. But otherwise, as per current understanding, market is valuing each business where it should be.
Sorry, this was a view on pharma, or do you believe in financials market is valuing each business as it should be?
No, so pharma and consumers, two of the better performing spaces just now. The damage to the stock price, if any, is in line with the damage to, let's say, FY21 earnings estimate. And hence I am saying the market is valuing it in line with the current understanding, maybe in some cases even higher than where the stocks were pre, let's say, March 1st. And if you look at these two spaces, these are the only spaces, and maybe, let's say, general insurance, where analysts may be looking for some growth in 21 over 20. Other spaces is a degrowth. Now, in the whole spectrum of the marketplace, financials is a space where I do still believe that, there is still an overshoot on the negative side. So if the rally continues, maybe, financials lead it at least to their normative values.
Okay. Prateek, we've had a number of our conversations on the non-lending financials in the past. These are very interesting business models. They've come under a bit of a cloud, at least the AMC stocks have. I want your view. One, start off with on the AMCs because they've seen some price damage, and then on insurance as well, because they have largely, some of them at least, have recovered a large portion of the losses that they've incurred as well, the insurance plays.
Yeah, so this space is actually looking more attractive than before. General insurance actually comes out as a winner. There is no damage to the balance sheets, and the business outlook improves. In the immediate term, the motor claims would be lower because people are staying indoors. Yes, regulator has not given the premium increase this year, but I think in spite of that, that business would have lesser claims and hence profitability would be higher. Second, because of the times, the health insurance piece, which is a fast-growing piece, will grow probably faster and is very profitable. So that piece for general insurance companies could drive growth in future. So outlook for this business definitely improves. If we go to life insurance businesses, there is some damage to the balance sheet. Solvency ratios move down a tad, mainly because of crack in asset prices, debt and equity. But business outlook improves. People will want more of life insurance, maybe less of ULIPs, but more of life insurance, which again is a very high on profitability part of business. So overall, these two, the insurance space, I would say, in terms of business outlook, wins in this kind of a scenario. Mutual funds, we can categorize them into two. Funds which were perceived to be riskier on debt side for one reason or the others. Just like it is happening in banks where people are pulling out monies from perceived higher risk banks and moving them into perceived lower risk banks. Same thing is being experienced in mutual funds. People don't want to risk their monies in a debt kind of an asset class. If they sense any risk, they're pulling that out, putting it into funds where risk perception is lower. So, for the larger fund houses, I would say debt does contribute 30-35% of total profits. The house which is getting in a lot of flows could see that percentage move up significantly given that equities are down today. That demarcation has to be made, one, and two, this is again a business where the balance sheets have not gotten impacted. Solid, very high ROE businesses. Business outlook in terms of flows has not gotten impacted for, whatever is my current understanding. There is a great chance that flows improve once, normalcy gets restored. Yes, there is a damage to equity values and AUMs have gone down. But then if we believe 22 earnings will be where 21 would have been otherwise, if not for this crisis, then theoretically speaking, the equity AUMs of funds could be back to where they were, let's say in a year kind of a time frame from now. And the damage to the stock price would then appear to be a good entry point. So, in short, the fee-based financials, overall we are positive. Best position, of course, are general insurance guys.
Okay, so best position is insurance. Prateek, liking the asset management space as well, with a presumption that you have to see some pain for the near term. Maybe the medium term looks better, or well, actually 3 years is not medium really. 3 is as near as it could be. Prateek, the other pocket that you mentioned is specialty chemicals, and what intrigues me is only this: when you look at these businesses right now, the promise of the business is there. The valuations on a near term, 1 year, 1.5 year maybe, or compared to the past averages, doesn't look cheap. If it doesn't look rich, it doesn't certainly look cheap as well. So are you investing fresh money here? And if so, what's the thesis? Is it a multi-year CAGR growth story in some of these names? What's the thesis?
So that is the point I was making. The market is pricing each space according to the current understanding. So you are absolutely right. The valuation comfort, let's say in consumers, in specialty chemical, in pharmaceuticals is less there. It is probably not there except for the fact that interest rates may be lower and your discount rate may be lower. So it can sustain higher valuations. To our mind, if you have to go into chemicals today, it is to price in the option value of a strong shift away from, let's say, China. And we have seen some bit of that happen. So, one company has got 3 contracts from offshore guys who have at least for one of the contracts came and is promising to put in working capital, assuring a sizable ROEs as well, to develop a second source of products. Something similar happened to another specialty chemical company. So, this is a space where if you really want to move away from China, we probably are the only other country which can, scale up nicely, strongly, because in specialty chemicals and chemicals in general, the ecosystem is very important. You can't simply start from scratch. If your process makes chlorine, it can't be transported over long distances. There needs to be a user of chlorine, close by, and similarly of an asset, etc., etc. So, thing is that ecosystem needs to be there, and I think India has that, and hence we are very nicely positioned. So, if there is any substance in the thought that people will want to develop a second source, I think chemicals, specialty in particular, really stand out. I agree to your point on valuations. In terms of what we are doing, see, it is in some sense like asset allocation. In our portfolios, the weightage of these entities have moved up significantly. Consumer, specialty, etc., the good performing part of the market, relatively speaking, and as a part of rebalancing, we are taking some money out of that and putting it into other spaces which have not done as well. So that much we are doing, but we are keeping the faith. We are not getting out of any of these names.
Okay, one last question, Prateek, and that is this resurgence of sorts that we're seeing in global auto-related names. I mean, Tata Motors news today, Motherson gave an update, and in an interaction with us, Motherson said that they expect almost zero loss of sorts. I mean, unless I'm getting it wrong, but something like that. What are your thoughts here? Global-facing auto names, auto ancillaries. I mean, the Mothersons, the Balkrishna tires, etc. of the world. What do you think that this pocket could be strong?
So versus earlier, the thought is that versus going in public transport, anybody who can afford it would want a personal transport in the post-COVID era. So one should expect to see, two-wheeler sales and car sales come back reasonably quickly. So that is one desire. The second thing one has to also see is how much are the incomes damaged and so on, and hence whether we will see continued demand for cars. As of now, I would believe we would, since it would become a necessity. So this is a space where, in terms of numbers, post this outlook improves. Okay, if we look at where stock prices are, we are getting some of these companies at stock prices which are 2014, 2015 prices. And if we look at productions, they are significantly higher than those years, with a good outlook now going forward. So in the auto chain, except for CVs, I think, cars look good, two-wheelers look better than before, tractors any which ways are looking good.
Okay. Okay, Prateek, one last question. What is the risk to this optimism? We are in a bit of a bullish scenario, but the reason I ask is because from 7,700, we are at 9,800. It's a remarkable pullback. And 2008 showed that these pullbacks can get sold into as well. I mean, what's the risk to this pullback?
So it's a very uncertain time. There are risks, and hence if you see what is doing well is the best quality part of the market, which is how we believe it will continue to be. Risk number one, we believe we are over the hump in many countries, and we are seeing markets celebrate that. But then, as is the case usually with viruses, after the first hump, there is a second larger hump. And if we see cases explode, the reaction of people would be very different. If we look at how we were behaving ourselves in this country in the month of January and February, and how we behaved in the month of March, I mean, that kind of gives you what to expect. January, February, we had like 2 cases in the country, and it was going as usual. In March, when the cases started to move up, people panicked. So that is one. Cases can balloon when the country opens up, and one should be prepared for that, and hence, put money to work judiciously over a period of time. Second, Q1 numbers will be terrible. April, nothing much has happened. May, probably nothing much will happen. And hence, Q1 numbers will be like nothing that we have seen over our investing lives. Yes, after that, Q2 should be very good because of some suppressed demand coming back into the market. But, it remains to be seen how the marketplace behaves when they see Q1 results. So, to my mind, these are the 2 biggest risks. Once we are over them, then the confidence in the marketplace will be more. Today, what we are seeing is that foreigners who sold like 58,000 crores in the month of March, have stabilized. They've stopped selling. Domestics, small buying, and the market has stabilized. One has to be conscious about the two risks coming up. While valuations are cheap, and we are also saying that use them, put some money to work, but keep some money for later. You have to allocate asset, you have to stagger it.
Sound advice. Keep some money for later. And I think that's the headline for our story today from Prateek Agrawal. The Q1 numbers will be nothing like we have seen in our investing lives. Prateek, so good chatting with you. Always is. Thanks much for taking the time.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, and just before we wrap up, just want to mark a quick check. I mean, the markets are